3.
Hello, my name is Seamus Ruck. I'm the Social Studies Department head teacher here at Salem High School. I've been teaching here for 5 years, and I've been co-teaching with my partner Colin Oldoni for 3 years.
As Seamus said, I'm Colin Oldoni. I've been co-teaching with Seamus in history for 3 years now. I've been teaching at Salem. This is my 4th or 5th year, I can't remember, but I'm ESL in history as well, so that's our bag. Initially coming into co-teaching, I don't think you had ever done co-teaching before.
No, I hadn't.
So it was a new experience for both of us. Obviously, like being in the ESL world was something I knew I would be encountering and stuff like that, and so I went into it just knowing like, hey, like this is part of my job. I'm going to try to do it as openly and honestly and as well as I can. And I knew that Seamus had a lot of experience already, so I kind of went in as a new teacher and basically like found my place. I learned from him and figured out where I fit in, really.
Yeah, and I think my biggest question, I'd been a teacher for a long time, but I'd never co-taught until Colin and I were put together. I think I wondered, where the different roles would fit, and what parts of the class was Colin going to take on, what was I going to take on, how do we work together and collaborate, what would planning be like. So I think I had a lot of questions, but Colin and I really, I think, figured out very quickly what each of our strengths were and where we could both kind of bring those elements to bear to make the class really a great place for the kids. And I think we learned very quickly, how we could plan great lessons together and really enrich the lesson for our kids. So.
I think that's kind of what you really figure out working together. And so what we actually found out was that he has his strengths and maybe they're A, B, and C, and I have my strengths and maybe they're X, Y, and Z. And how do we get the amazing teacher that he is and the amazing teacher that I am to mesh together to be like a really cohesive, strong teacher, right? And so there are sometimes you're going to step on each other's feet. There are sometimes like you're going to talk over each other. And I think like knowing that I could always count on Seamus to pull his own weight, to do what we were supposed to do, to have his head on his shoulders and make a good decision in the classroom, because as a co-teacher, I think like I'm always backing you up. And so sometimes you might make a decision as a co-teacher that you're like, well, I don't know if I would have made that myself, but like I trust him that like that's his opinion, that's his thoughts, he's going to do the right thing. And so like it took, it wasn't an overnight thing. It took like maybe a month or two before we really felt like this is going to work. This is something that we really love to do. And like now we try to find time on our own to get together to do stuff, because it really just worked out wonderfully for us.
Yeah, and we got to the place where we both were requesting to work together.
That was big.
Because, I think, at least for me, I learned what a rewarding experience that it could be to be a part of a co-teaching team. To have somebody to truly collaborate with, to, see the gains that our students, obviously our ELL students, but all of the students across the board, to see the gains that they made, where having 2 teachers in the room, one teacher can be running kind of a larger activity and the other teacher can check in with smaller groups of students or individuals. Just to have that ability gives you such greater flexibility in planning lessons and planning activities, and it gives us a much greater flexibility in supporting our students. So it's been a very rewarding experience, and I think both of us would maybe say that some of our proudest moments as teachers have been seeing the growth in the students in our classes together.
I think it's big to point out that as a teacher, right, we expect that we're going to have to work with other people, we're going to have to collaborate, we may have to co-teach, and just getting to that point of like knowing that I'm going to be working with somebody else. As the co-teacher, I figured like I have to make sure that I show this other teacher that may be under the impression that co-teaching is not better for the kids, is not an equal load, is not sharing the responsibility equally. Like that's not what effective co-teaching is. And Seamus just told you right there, like because we have this relationship and we do, or at least we feel like we're effective in the classroom, we see these tremendous gains these students can make. And like we're aware, as academics behind the scenes, that the data shows co-teaching is definitely the model to go. And we're there in the classroom every day working with these kids, and we can tell you through experience that co-teaching is the way to go.
Yeah, I wouldn't have it any other way. And I would say the biggest tip for a teacher who's going into a co-teaching experience for the first time would be, number one, communicate. Right? You have to communicate with each other. You can't just show up on the day of the class and think that each of the teachers is going to understand their role in the room and understand the
It'll work. You guys will be able to do a lesson, but it won't be very good. It just won't be very good.
And I would say the other thing is to go into it knowing that the other person is coming from a place of goodwill. That if mistakes are made, if you do step on each other's toes, if you do have a disagreement, understand that both of you are coming at this from a place where you want to do the best for kids. And when you believe that about the person that you're working with, then everything else is minor, right? When we all understand we're here for the same goal, we're here to support each other, let's work together. If there's an issue, we'll communicate, we'll work through it, and it's all about helping the kids. And so when you have that, everything else falls into place.
Can't end it better than that. We're all adults, we're all professionals, and so we just have to do that sometimes. But when you get to a point, it won't be an issue. So I think you summed it up beautifully right there. That's our biggest tip to you guys.